For the longest time, Microsoft has been doing some shady stuff when it came to Windows, and now it's become so exposed that they can't run away from it anymore. When they announced they're putting massive resources into generative AI, things took a turn and it's not looking good for their reputation. What's funny is many people are mocking the company and calling it Microslop, and anything they're going to release from here on out will be known as sloppy seconds. I don't know who thought of that, but whoever they are, hats off to them. Now, I've been playing around Windows since '95, and to be honest, I don't hate it like some people do, but I do think at this time, it's become an over-bloated disaster. I'm sure you've noticed by now that it shifted from being our PC and our software into something that feels more like a service that's designed around their investors, and not so much of the user experience anymore. It's becoming less and less for gaming and optimization, and more about cramming as many useless services as possible. When we buy the OS, it comes pre-installed with apps like TikTok, Candy Crush, and links to some other platform we never asked for. And I'm sure you noticed some ads on the start menu, the file explorer, the lock screen, and with all that, it's slowly degenerating from being a PC platform and more like something we see on mobile devices, which can sometimes make it buggy. I'll never forget the time when I was one fight away from getting platinum rank in StarCraft 2 and it randomly glitched out because Windows was updating my GPU in the background. The rage I had that day was something else, and let's just say, my keyboard stopped working after that. By the way, this is a common thing that happens if people don't disable updates, and for Microsoft, it's supposed to be about fixes and security, but in practice, it destroys control from the user. If an update breaks something, we're stuck with it until many people complain about it, and only then they'll decide to fix it. But look, I know Windows has been the backbone of PC gaming for the longest time, and I get why people are defensive about it. Hell, I am too sometimes. I use it to research and edit my videos, and most of the time it's seamless. However, for gaming, that's a different story, and honestly, we're better off without it because Microsoft refuses to make it simpler and more efficient. People are slowly growing out of it because they know the company isn't enabling progress, but slowing it down instead. Most developers have no choice but to use Windows because it has more software and hardware compatibility, unlike macOS and other systems. This makes Microsoft have so much leverage and influence over PC games and how they're being made and optimized. According to Steam, 96% of their users are using Windows. And while that's awesome, developers have to account for system configurations, updates, and behaviors that can break their games overnight. We've learned that with other platforms like the SteamOS, we can have our systems optimized specifically for gaming. And guess what? It always results in better performance. I'm kind of surprised that it isn't getting that much attention, which brings me to my next point. When one operating system like Windows controls the vast majority of the PC gaming market, other platforms struggle to gain traction, even if they offer better options. Some people argue it's because they don't market themselves properly, and others say it's about compatibility, and I think both are true. But hey, if someday millions of people switch to Linux or SteamOS, I guarantee companies and developers will follow. Now that Valve's stepping up and making their platform more streamlined and coming up with new tech, we might see a revolution happening in the next 5 years. Ultimately, the game industry doesn't need PC to end. It needs complacency to end. I think for the longest time, Windows has been good enough for people that its flaws have been normalized. Letting it have some form of competition for a while would force innovation and shift power back to developers and players. For an industry built on creativity and technological progress, that kind of change isn't just desirable. It's necessary at some point. Microsoft itself has to change if they want to stay in the game, especially with the way it's using AI. Now, I don't have a problem with it, but the way companies are misusing it makes it a problem for society. For Windows 11, you don't have to be Neo to see the secret codes. It's actually right in your face. The operating system's constantly trying to help us and suggest things or analyze what we're doing whether we asked for it or not. That shift alone makes Windows less like something we control and more like something Microsoft is experimenting on. The platform used to be a tool that stayed out of our way and let us work how we wanted, and now these AI features like Copilot are pushed front and center even if we never use it. For a lot of people, it feels like a bunch of slop, and even if you uninstall, it just comes back on the next update along with other apps that were previously removed. It's kind of crazy how mismanaged Microsoft is when it comes to learning about user behavior. With all of its data collecting and AI learning, they still can't figure figure out that we don't want these things. But I bet there's more to it than that. The company says it doesn't sell our data, but sometimes it sure feels like it when I see emails with the same ads as the ones I see all around Windows. They already admitted that they share some of our data to their so-called partners, and in the process we don't actually know what they do with our information. I'll be honest, I don't think anybody cares enough to investigate because the leaders of our countries are powerless to do anything about it. People in our governments either aren't educated enough to regulate anything or are paid by corporations to step back and have them push their narratives. Now this is a problem that trickles down to the game industry because at some point, any studio can unjustly replace their designers and lobby politicians to create laws to normalize AI in the industry. It's kind of crazy because someday we're gonna wake up to a world where fake developers will come out with generated slop that might win awards. And it's gonna happen because corporations convince the masses and normalize the idea of sloppy seconds. I mean, they've already convinced the programming industry, and now it's a lot easier to make applications without any coding experience. At this point, it's only a matter of time before creativity and art becomes compromised. You know what really baffles me right now is Microsoft's a company that has a lot of leverage in the AI space, but it refuses to make any ruling on how applications with AI should be regulated. Its only mission right now is to race against their rival corporations and invest their time into new technologies without ever thinking about the consumer and the creators. I mean, there has to be some form of balance in the industry, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. What I'm really excited for right now is the Steam machine that Valve's working on because it might revolutionize how we play games in our home. It's gonna give a lot of people a chance to get a true streamlined experience, giving SteamOS a chance to grow in the game industry. I'm kinda hoping someday that more developers will make games that are compatible with SteamOS, and even if they don't, Valve's still gonna win because they've made their platform capable of running most PC games. I've been trying to slowly back away from gaming on Windows for a while, and this just might be the thing to make it happen. Valve right now is doing the complete opposite of what Microsoft did and focus on the consumer, the developer, and hardware performance. That's where I think Microsoft kinda screwed up because instead of giving their users flexibility, they've only alienated them by making Xbox and their subscription services more expensive. I know some of you have been telling me to get a Steam Deck, and while I do appreciate the recommendation, I don't think I'm gonna buy it yet because of its giant form factor. I already have a PS Vita and I think that's the perfect handheld size for me. And until then, I'll wait for the Steam machine and slowly back away from gaming on Windows because to me, it's no longer just an operating system. It's a data collecting platform and a subscription funnel. I think for gamers and developers, it's going in a crappy direction because it's putting greed ahead of freedom on PC. At the end of the day, this isn't about hating Windows, it's about recognizing that the game industry will someday outgrow it. Anyways guys, that's all I got for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. Your support is always appreciated. See ya.